Hey, everyone. I hope everyone celebrating had a fun Halloween. As I'm editing this, it is the first day of November. I can't believe October is already over. Time really flies by way too fast. Anyway, as you've read from the title, today we're continuing my ongoing Zodiac series. If you haven't seen part 1 already, I suggest watching that video first and then come back to this one after. I'll make sure to link the first part in the description. So since we have already done Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, it means today we have Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. We finally have our first water sign. I am following the order the signs are usually classified by to make things easier. Although, for some reason, I was convinced Leo came before Cancer, so it is the first design I've done out of these 3, but I'll still put them in the correct order for the video. I'm mentioning it because the first design always seems to look a bit more rough than the other 2 for some reason, so you'll probably notice it too. Well then, let's just get started, shall we? For Cancer, one of the first main ideas I had was to make the character's hands be claws. You know, like a crab, since they are the animals that represent this sign. I thought it'd give it a fun, unique touch, kinda like Aries' horns. Plus, it's gonna give the design a fun contrast, which you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. Being a water sign, Cancer is considered to be quite the emotional sign, relying heavily on their emotions to guide them through life. I know I wanted the character to look rather soft, maybe even shy-looking. In a room full of people, you'll rarely see a Cancer being the loudest or the most seeking of attention. They're definitely more of a homebody type. So I knew I wanted the face to reflect that, and it took me a few tries before getting it right. I was really happy with the hair though. And it's no coincidence it's made of rounder shapes, it definitely was a conscious decision as too many angles can make a character come across as sharper, less kind. Not only that, but I thought her buns could sort of represent the Cancer symbol, but maybe I'm reaching for straws with this one. As I mentioned earlier, the claws here make kind of a neat contrast considering the character is meant to be looking soft and non-threatening, don't you think? Maybe that could be seen as a representation of the more manipulative side of Cancer. Who knows? For the outfit, the inspiration came from a lovely 20s dress I saw on Google, but I decided to instead turn it into a one-piece jumper type of thing. Looking at it now, it reminds me a lot of Toy Story's Bo Peep. To my defense though, I haven't even seen the movie where she wears that specific outfit, so it was a coincidence. Now, for the colors, I definitely felt a little stuck. I want to keep a certain color palette for the different elements of the zodiac signs. So technically, she should be in blue hues, but crabs are usually more red. And somehow red and coral just sound like good colors for the sign to me. But it didn't look right for the design. So I looked up, and there actually exists blue crabs. I was really happy about that, but then I noticed their claws still somehow remained red. So I really had no choice but to make it work. I left it at that for a while to see how it would look after I figured out the colors of everything else. I made the blue tones a bit colder looking for her hair and desaturated so as to not make them fight for the spotlight with other elements. After that, I decided to try and put some of that coral color onto her eyes, and honestly, that did it for me. It's the small detail that made the claws feel more cohesive with the rest in my opinion. And you may think, well, why didn't you just make the claws blue? Who cares about real crabs? And to that I answer, I don't know. I really could have done just that, but I guess I can be pretty stubborn over silly details sometimes. Speaking of being stubborn, as I said earlier, I wanted to avoid having too many angles or extremely straight lines for her design. And that cardigan she's wearing was doing exactly that, and it annoyed me so much. It seemed to pull the design down and make it seem just too blocky. I fiddled around with it so much and for a moment I was pretty satisfied with the modification I did, but of course, I still ended up changing it later in the process. I do a lot of that it seems. I get annoyed by something, I try to fix it, and then I abandon it for a while to leave it to my future self to fix it. I switched gears to neaten up the rest of the drawing as the general design was pretty much all figured out by now. I gave her cute flat shoes and added some lace to her one piece. I also finished the claws, going for a detailed but not too much look, and, unlike my last Zodiac video, I actually did some cheating by copying and pasting parts of it to save myself the time of drawing something perfectly symmetrical manually. I wanted to make her design just a bit more reminiscent of the sea, so I gave her a pearl necklace and some pearls on her shoes to match it. Isn't it cute? I also added a bow on the behind of her belt, though you can't really see it from the front, but it's still there and it matters. I thought some freckles would suit her really well too, and I think I was right. She's adorable and her outfit kinda reminds me of summer pajamas, which is really cute to me for some reason. And I finally fixed the cardigan. I think it lightens up the design so much with just this simple modification. It's crazy what a small detail like that can change. And just like that, our lovely Cancer is now done. I think she turned out really cute. I only wish I could have integrated the Cancer symbol a bit more in the design, but I'm fine with it as it is too. Do you like her? And now, forward with Leo. I knew exactly what I wanted for this sign. When I think of Leos, I think of courage, strength, loudness, and passion. I wanted a strong-looking guy, but in the most welcoming way possible, if that makes sense. Didn't want him to come off as intimidating. To name some inspirations, Rengoku from Demon Slayer is definitely up there, as well as characters like Kirishima from My Hero Academia and Bakuto from Haikyuu. Now, as I previously mentioned, this is actually the first design of this batch I've made, so I still needed some time to warm up to the style I'm using for this series again. You can probably tell by the derpy eyes he's got right now. But it gets fixed, so no worries. You may have noticed I actually didn't hesitate much for the hairstyle, and that's because I knew ahead of time I wanted Leo to have a long ponytail. And the reason for that is... well, look at the Leo symbol. Tell me this doesn't look like Ariana Grande from a side view. It totally looks like a high ponytail. Please just agree with me so I don't look crazy here. It also gives him the silhouette of a lion's mane, which is perfect because Leos are represented by lions. So it all works out perfectly in the end, right? Anyway, I went ahead and gave him some hoop earrings, though I went back and forth with them a lot during the entire process. He does end up keeping them, because otherwise he just looked weird. Or that area seemed too empty. The earrings are there to represent the kind of vanity some Leos can have at times, or rather the pride they have in how they present themselves. Which I know is kinda silly because earrings are not just worn by people who are full of themselves, but elements like these count when it comes to character design. Don't bother looking that up, just trust me. As for the outfit, I wanted to give him something that looks like it could be worn by someone who fights. Like with the shoulder pads thing. This sounds super vague, but I don't know how else to describe it, because I'm not sure what this guy would even fight in the first place. But just know the intention is there. He's a fighting dreamer. The colors were super easy to pick, him being a passionate fire sign, it only makes sense to be in shades of red and orange. Though truthfully it really is mostly shades of orange. He's a flame burning with passion and he's so totally ready to tackle anyone into a hug that could potentially harm you with its strength. I also gave him those cute tadpole-shaped eyebrows to accentuate his determined expression. After that, I didn't feel like there was much else to add, so it really was just polishing everything as usual. Also, you may notice during my speed paints there are often pen marks that appear everywhere around the canvas, and if anyone knows how to avoid getting those on a Samsung tablet, please help a girl out because I still haven't figured it out. That happens from my hand brushing against the screen as I'm drawing, and it's so annoying. I had an iPad before, and that didn't happen, but alas, I just really dislike Apple products in general, so I ended up selling that one away. I really do miss it at times though. I wish Samsung could do just a bit better, you know? After adding small details here and there, our dear Leo is finally done. Doesn't he just seem to radiate warmth? It's the goal I had in mind, and I think I did pretty good. I don't usually draw characters like him too often, so it was really fun to get to do so. I've grown pretty attached to the guy by now. With that, we're already on our last design for the day, Virgo. You know how all zodiac signs have some predominant stereotypes for all of them? Well, I don't know how universal this one is, but to me, when I think Virgo, I think... How do I put this? Well, I think nerd. And I mean this with all the affection in the world because I love Virgos and their tendencies to be know-it-all. So that was the main inspiration for this character. I hope I don't offend any Virgo watching this. I love you guys, really. So right from the start, I saw this very precise picture in my head of a cute little guy with some big round glasses, and thus was born this design. He just had to be small, don't ask me why, I just couldn't draw him any other way. Though, admittedly, even if I had a pretty specific idea from the start, I still struggled a lot for the entirety of this drawing. I wanted to give him a cute outfit, but not too overly cute. I wanted the cuteness of it to be suggested rather than in your face. I'm not sure I really got that through in the end, but that's okay. As you can see here, I was having kind of a hard time with my drawing program. It was acting so weird, like a part of the canvas was just warping my lines for no reason. I was literally drawing straight lines here, so it shouldn't be curvy at all. It got so frustrating I had to take a break, but thankfully it ended up going back to normal. It is so frustrating though, because as I said earlier, I used to have an iPad and Procreate was the absolute best. I loved this application so much, and the only one I could find that kind of resembles it on Android was the one I'm using now, aka Infinite Painter. It looks and feels pretty similar, but it can get pretty laggy at times. It crashes with no reason a few times per drawing, and sometimes it just randomly decides to corrupt a drawing you're working on. I've lost 2 drawings to this by now. So I always have to be extra careful, and it does get annoying pretty fast. Sorry for the sudden ranting, I just really wish Procreate could be available on Android as well. That would truly be the best. Anyway, let's get back on track. I thought I had a pretty good idea for the color palette to use, but honestly, it just worked better in my head, I think. It's by no means straight up bad, but even now I can't say I'm entirely satisfied with it. I do manage by the end of the drawing to make it look better, but I might end up going back to it in the future and change it some more. As for the clothes, I settled on this outfit that I made after looking up some inspiration from fantasy outfits. I think it makes for a pretty good silhouette. I hesitated a lot on the amount of details I wanted to give the outfit, but I think I managed to balance it out nicely in the end. I like that he looks like he's ready to go on an adventure, maybe in the woods, to go and observe the nature around him. Ever so looking for more things to learn. It's another thing I like about Virgos. They are very teachable, and it's like they never run out of curiosity. Not only that, but they're always so hard at work too. They put a whole lot of pressure on their shoulders, always striving to know more and more. It's so admirable. Now for the boots. What I wanted initially was some big oversized boots, a bit like young Link in Ocarina of Time. But try and find references for boots like those. It just seems like it's not really a thing, and I didn't want to just give him the same boots, because remember, I love being stubborn about silly details. I gave up on doing them purely from my imagination and actually looked up boots and what they truly look like. And I'm glad I did, because I love how they look now so much more. It's just the right amount of details to tie together the rest of the design nicely. And with those last details done, here is Virgo. As I said, I might end up tweaking the colors just a bit in the future, but overall I'm still pretty happy with his final design. He looks tiny, cute, and a bit like a nagging know-it-all, but always with good intentions in mind. A bit like a younger sibling in a way. What do you think? With these 3 added, we now have 6 completed Zodiac characters. We're already halfway done, with 6 more to go. As per usual, they were so fun to draw, and it's always satisfying seeing them side by side like this after. So here are our 3 new characters together, and now, here are all 6 designs we have so far. Would you have designed them differently, or has your sign been drawn yet? Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. Thank you to those who have recently subscribed and given me their support, it means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon for more character designs.